This is iDesign Lab, a podcast where creativity and curiosity meet style and design. Curator of interiors, furnishings, and lifestyles. Hosted by Tiffany Woolley, an interior designer and a style enthusiast, along with her serial entrepreneur husband, Scott. iDesign Lab is your ultimate design podcast, where we explore the rich and vibrant world of design and its constant evolution in style and trends.
Welcome to the iDesign Lab podcast. Today we are joined by Keesha Scott. She's an author, parenting coach, podcast host, a recovery advocate, someone who spent years helping families navigate life's messiest moments. She's raising teens and building a national recovery organization to hosting a podcast, Cake for Dinner. Keesha brings honesty, humor, and real-world wisdom to conversations every parent needs to hear. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here.
I know. So, we were briefly talking as we were getting started that, you truly have designed a movement around parenting, which we all are in the midst of, or most listeners are in the midst of. Where did Cake for Dinner come from?
So Cake for Dinner, it's kind of a play on words.
Yes.
I wrote a parenting book, which will come out in 2027. And the beginning of the book, I'm a single mom.
Okay.
So sometimes as a single mom, especially, sometimes you just have cake for dinner.
Literally.
Literally. And also, it's a little bit of a nod to my dad. I have a super great relationship with my father, and he is not a baker by trade, he likes me to point out. He's actually a doctor in exercise science, health physiology,
Wow.
but everyone in my family bakes. And anytime I've been in a really dark place, he's baked me cakes. And during my pregnancy, I ate cake like the entire time. So it's kind of both.
So it really has a heart meaning and then the play on words. So what brought you through your parenting and through your original career, I guess, to starting this journey of an author and putting it pen to paper?
Yeah, I think just like everything in life, it kind of one thing leads to the next.
That's
I got
true.
sober at 27, which is a whole journey by itself, and then having children. And then my husband and I founded a national behavioral health company. And then a few years back, we opened a adolescent facility, really based on the needs that we saw at home. And then working with teenagers led me to work with parents. And then eventually to take a look at my own experience parenting through recovery, through difficult times, through divorce. And it was recommended to me many times over the years that I write a book. I got stumped a little sometimes because I would think this is a depressing story. You know what I mean? But I gave it a shot and I ended up getting a book contract this year. So
How long, when did you start the book?
I think like a lot of authors, I've been writing this book in my head for a very long time. I've taken a stab at it, really on paper a few different times. So there's been a few variations of the book. But I really got serious about it really a year ago.
1 year. And so what was your process becoming an author? Did you organize it? Did you literally just sit down? Did you
do an outline?
How does that even...
I am not an organized person. So what happened was one of my good friends and a colleague of mine, her name's Allison Walsh. She is an author and just a very dynamic woman, somebody you meet with and you just want to kind of ride their coattails.
Wow.
And she was always telling me, Keesha, you should write a book. You should write a book. And I would go to her with the same thing, who wants to read this story, And she was like, just write the outline and send it to me. And if it sucks, then who cares? So it really, truly was, I literally wrote an outline, emailed it to her. She emailed me back, I love it. Let's do more here. Keep going. Do more here. And as I sort of started in that process, I started to realize there is a book here. I think we get in our own way sometimes.
Oh, we do all the time, I think.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy the process of writing it?
So I enjoyed the process of writing it very much. I'm not enjoying the process of editing, which is the stage I'm in now, as much because it feels like therapy, kind of. Like, I feel like every red line was, we want more, I want more, give me more. I'm like, I wrote the book I wanted to write. And getting deeper, because my story is pretty intense, it's been a little bit hard and emotional.
So did someone ask you or tell you you should edit it, or is it that
No, so you submit your, final draft to the publishing company, and then they have an editor, and then they give you back.
Do they assign you the editor?
Yes, and they give you back like very, very detailed, specific, we want more here. What about this? A lot of it is that when you're reading a book, what she explained to me was every time you ask yourself a question like, oh, I wonder what happened to that person, or I wonder what happened, you're leaving the book. And so if you really want to write a good book, she suggests you have to keep the reader present in the moment, in the room. I left a lot of questions unanswered because the nature of my book is very intense. It has a lot to do with my son getting sober, my first husband dying. Oh, wow. So there's a lot of like things there that you're like, do I really want to put that in? There's so many other people that are connected to this story.
Right. How is it going to affect
How's this going to impact my kids, my first husband's mother? There's a lot there. So there was a lot of pause for me. So
you got a publisher. Did you get a literary agent? So how is that process? Because finding something that's difficult.
Is wild. So my first attempt, my original book was a menopause book. It was like a funny look at like all the crazy shit that happens to us,
and going through.
I did get a literary agent just from sending out a gazillion proposals. I ended up getting a literary agent, and then the book just wasn't aligned really with where I was. It was kind of like I use humor a lot to cover up kind of maybe where I really am. And that's what it was a big example of. And it just sort of died. I started that process again with this book, a gazillion proposals, a gazillion no's. And I ended up sending it to HCI, which is a smaller company that distributes through Simon & Schuster. And they bit.
So crazy.
But you have to be willing to, you have to be
put yourself
totally okay with no's. Otherwise, don't do it. I mean, unless you get really lucky.
Well, every no is a possible
it's an opportunity that leads you to the new opportunity.
Well, that's what they say. But when you get them, you're like, it doesn't feel like one.
So how does it feel to be an author?
Yeah, it feels great. It feels great because you know what? It's been my dream my whole life.
So it has been a passion, like subliminally there.
I'm also an alcoholic. I'm also sober. So like there's been a lot of wild shit to my story. You know what I mean? So I was an English major in college. So obviously I've always had that like passion for writing. But I was also drunk at the time and not organized. And, my life took like many different turns. So I say has been a dream of mine, but not something that I have pursued actively really ever.
What an amazing landing to get to it now.
Yes.
When you are fresh and when you are ready and you embraced it. And I feel like sometimes in life we get these little moments that we do have to take them. How did you know that this was like the time to take that?
I think my life had come full circle enough that I felt like I had something to give. Telling that story when I was so deep in the trenches would have just been a story with like 0 tips.
Right. Right. I was going to ask you, is it a self-help book?
Yeah,
is it a
this
memoir?
would have been like, hey, you might not want to do this, So I wrote the book at a time where certainly my life hadn't completely worked out, but does it ever? I think I had come to a point at 50 years old with 3 teenagers, running an adolescent treatment facility that I, at the very least, had something to give. And what I think I'm giving the most is authenticity. It's like, I'm not talking from a place of like, I've got this all figured out. I don't think that my master's in psychology really provides much to the book.
Right.
I think really it's
Life
experience,
experiences.
you know, it's having gone through all of these things and knowing mostly that you can do all of this stuff and just lead with yourself, right?
Right,
and
like giving the permission
and
to
like,
do
look,
it.
we're all out here doing our best.
We are.
And I think moms don't want another book that either tells them how to do it or shows them what it's supposed to look like. I think moms are craving to know that whatever they're doing is fine.
I know. I often think that myself with my kids. I'm like, and even I now respect it from my own perception of how my parents were. I truly believe they did the best they could. I mean, as you kind of come to that own acceptance that you were doing the best you can with the tools you have and the life on life's terms, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So in your journey, what came first? Like the business, the book, the podcast, social media? How did it all develop? How did it all come about?
Yeah, so trying to get the book contract was hard. And one of the main things that I would get with the no was that you don't have a social media platform. I had 400 followers and I'd post maybe on Thanksgiving, you know? And so nobody was following but me, but like my friends and maybe my college
like high school
friends,
people.
You know?
Yeah.
So it was just a tough thing for me because I really felt like social media was like a little like stupid, you know, a little weird and embarrassing and like cringy, as the teenagers say.
Correct.
Right. That's so funny. I hear that all the time from our girls.
Yeah, I just couldn't do it. So I came up with the idea that if I started a podcast interviewing moms telling the truth, that I could put that on social media. And at the very least, it would be authentic because what I didn't want to contribute to was people sitting at home feeling bad about themselves, judging themselves based on a highlight reel that I'm putting that's like, I'm screaming at my kid and then I'm like, well, good morning.
Right. One of those the Utah families.
Yeah, I didn't want to contribute to that. So I thought I'll just interview moms and like ask them a bunch of questions and they'll say how it really goes. And how could that be bad? I did not know that it would really
resonate so much,
right? So that's been exciting. But,
and I feel like you designed, like everything comes back to such a nice execution, even though it's not meant to be that way. And you're saying so much of it was so organic, but yet you have such a flair with everything you put out. It does feel very effortless and very natural and unapologetic.
Well, you come across like an influencer.
Well, like thank you so much.
No, you do. I mean, your stuff is really well done. The messaging is hits home. It's great.
And they do make
it's beautifully
you
done your social media.
Thank you so much. I mean, really, it's just been me and ChatGPT trying to figure it out. You know, like how do you do this or how do you do that? I didn't even know how to link something.
Right.
So you started the podcast to promote the book.
To promote the book and to give me a reason to post on social media.
Right.
I remember the first post, I originally hired a company to do my social media. And I remember the first post they put out, I was in a meeting at work and I looked down and I saw it come up.
And you were like,
I was mortified. I had anxiety all day long. It was such a bizarre out-of-pocket concept for me.
It wasn't you.
And then, you know, I let them post for a little while and they're a great, successful company. But at the end of the day, they were like, you know, young women. Yeah. And I don't know if they have kids or not, but they have like, you know, great asses and like they haven't had menopause. Like, you know, like I just could feel that they didn't get me on a deep level. And that was exactly what I didn't want to do. So I got rid of them and just started posting random stuff.
So how did that pivot? Like, what do you organize that? Like, how do you do?
No, to this day, I organize nothing.
Okay.
I get up in the morning, have coffee, and I spend 30 minutes on Instagram and just make shit up. I mean, I don't really have a method. I don't have a calendar.
So you don't have an outline either?
Nothing. Yeah, nothing. I post my clips from my podcast. If they're going to be amazing, I'll post Monday through Friday, one clip. If they're okay, I'll do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then I just mix in other
So how did
content.
you decided you want to do a podcast to promote the book. How did you mean, I come from like a media background, television background. So us starting this was kind of like, I've done so many television shows. This was like nothing.
Right.
But
book a
I'm
guest
interested.
into,
I'm interested for like, how did you start? Because your podcast is a nice podcast. It's well done. It's very professional. It's high end.
Yeah. So I am lucky that we own a national behavioral health company, because with that comes all kinds of stuff. We have a guy, his name's Andrew Nice. He owns a production company called Nice Productions, and he is amazing. So he comes to my house once a month, and we just, we batch 4 episodes.
In that day.
Yes, in that day.
Which is such great time.
So he does that part of it, and without him, there is no podcast. I mean, he's amazing at what he does. He gets the whole thing. I think he's probably a better husband now, listening to all these women.
Can you imagine, right?
I can see him just like sometimes. But that's that part of it. And then as far as getting guests, I've just been shameless on social media. I mean, I send messages to like rappers, to, movie producers,
I love it.
to women doing all kinds of stuff. I mean, nobody is beneath
social
me.
media?
Yes. And then I will, ask ChatGPT who's their PR person. And then I will go look up their PR person on social media, because oftentimes they're not famous.
Right.
So they will receive the message. I've gotten a few people that way. And then I will send, I don't know, up to 10 messages. Very often the person will be like, oh my gosh, sorry, I didn't see any of these.
Huh.
And then I'll get a yes. But you have to be, you've got to be aggressive. And
Are most of them remotes that?
No,
they're
most
all
of those are in person, the bigger people. But
So they're
I
coming
go
to
to
your-
them.
You go to them?
They
Oh,
are not
really?
going to come to Boca Raton to come to some house they've never met. What I did one time was I took my camera guy with me, and we set up in my hotel room. So I got a suite and we set up one room. I got a few people like that, but most bigger people, you're going to go wherever they want you to go.
So when you started doing that, how did you feel like being a host of a podcast? That's a whole different new world to go into.
I love it.
Oh, that's good.
I love to talk. And, I mean, my family's like, enough,
Right.
like with all your big ideas. So it's like a place
I
for
commend
me.
you for it.
It's a place for me to really express myself, to talk about what is so important to me, which is motherhood, business, marriage, hormones, skin, all the things. I can't tell you how much stuff I learn.
bet every day.
guest I learn, and I try all the things that, whether it's someone I just had a woman on, Shop with Ivy. You should check her out. Actually,
She's
you would
great
adore
too.
her.
Yeah.
But
You know who
she
she is?
But she told me, you should have this thing in your shower. You shouldn't be using a regular fragrance, perfumes. Aroma 360 is terrible. She left. I'm told my husband, we got to get rid of this thing.
Yeah, we've had some guests where we've done the same thing.
Yeah, it's very cool. So for me, I'm learning something.
So the
And I like
podcast,
it.
the content, the stories, the conversations, what are they? They're about being a better mom or mom?
So I research the
Parenting?
person, and I interview experts, celebrities, and real moms telling real stories. So if it's an expert, I will interview them about their expertise. So whether that's maybe menopause, I've had on a child psychiatrist. So when I'm interviewing them, I'm trying to gain information for the listeners. I'll put in my story a little bit, but mostly I'm really trying to help the listener learn.
Right.
If it's celebrities, then with those, I'm trying to grow the podcast. But I only interview celebrities that I like their story, and I'm not as interested in the salacious clips.
The celebrity part.
Like
right.
I'm
They're
kind of
real
interested.
people.
Like I
So like
interviewed.
what type of celebrities?
So recently I interviewed Hilaria Baldwin. And they have 7 kids,
Yeah.
she and Alec Baldwin, right? So like
Great
I'm-
parenting content.
Yeah, like I'm interviewing her about what that's like to raise 7 kids, be married to a very A-list celebrity, be in the public eye, like all of those
juggle.
things.
and she's
they-
gotten a little bit more in the public eye lately, hasn't she?
Well,
Yes.
she did like
Yeah.
Dancing
with the Stars. And
things.
so like I could close in on things like, you know, the shooting that happened with him, you know, all of these salacious things. They sometimes come up in the conversation, but
Okay.
I don't clip them and post them because I don't really believe in that. You know, I don't think that, I don't want to participate in that.
Agreed.
I'm more interested in
Understand.
like, how does this lady have 7 kids? Like,
which it is a mind bender.
it's a total mind bender. And interesting, you kind of, you know, society and media creates this idea of people, right? So I went into it thinking just the
This.
things that I've seen.
Right.
She was like a total powerhouse. First of all, she's this big.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, after the podcast was done, cameras were away, whatever, I was in a hurry to get back to the airport, and we're in this New York studio that was like tiny. The staircase was like super narrow and steep. She picked up my suitcase, picked up all my stuff, and like starts going down. You know, like you get to know the person in a different light with no cameras, I mean,
Right.
she was great. She was super intelligent, witty, nice. So I think those people often get a bad rap, or they just get like, you know, pigeonholed
Pigeonholed
as
to
someone
that.
who they aren't even, you know. So it's that part is interesting. And then the real moms telling real stories is just, I mean, I've had a variety of moms, and those stories go, I try not to prepare too much. Those stories just go. You know, someone will end up talking about, I had on a fashion designer, and she ended up talking about having postpartum depression and wanting to commit suicide. You know, that was not how I thought the conversation was going to go.
Right.
Or I had a big divorce attorney on, thinking we'll talk divorce. She talked about her daughter died when she was a baby, and then her husband died. And she talked about studying for the bar in her car because she knew that her husband was going to pass away and she was going to be the breadwinner.
And needed to.
I'm like, she left my house, and I was just like,
Wow.
like the amount that women carry and
Yeah.
overcome is fascinating.
Wow.
And I just feel so lucky to be able to share those stories with anyone who will listen. You can't hear that particular story. Her name is Mara Bernstein. You can't hear that story and not leave and want to be a better person and to be more joyful. Because if-
Gratitude.
you just can't.
Wow. I mean, when you're hearing all that, what does the rest, like the date, like look like with your family? I mean, are you sharing all of these stories, and
Yeah.
what's their feedback and how
Yes,
they're
I do. I mean, I live a mile from my parents.
That's so
They're like
lovely.
so invested in this. I
I
mean, they
bet.
watch it on their TV. I think they
Oh,
think
really?
I'm like a celebrity. Meanwhile, I'm like, Mom, it's YouTube that Dad has put on the TV.
So cute.
They're so invested in it. So they're like my biggest fans, and they're very interested in the guest and kind of their stories. So I talk to them probably the most. My husband's, you know, completely into it. But mostly the cameras are off. Andrew goes home and my son is hungry. You know,
Right.
like mostly you just go back to
being
parenting.
mom.
Yeah.
So how did your journey, obviously you went through a lot of different phases. What was the most impactful part that set you up for the book, do you think? Is it the parenting, the
Yeah.
sobriety, the merit? I mean, what really
I
was
think-
that launch?
I think sobriety, like, you know, made me take a real look at myself, like as a person and kind of who I wanted to be. And then parenting just pushed me, well, first over onto the floor and then
Literally.
and then just required me to look at like the patterns of my life and, you know, how was I going to take all of these life experiences and be a good parent? Because the reality is you don't show up to parenting empty-handed. You bring all of it.
All your stuff.
Good stuff. I mean, I grew
Yes.
up with no money, so I grew up gritty and resilient. I'm a hustler.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in, I was born in Tucson, Arizona.
Okay.
But my
wow.
parents were like full hardcore hippies. We moved to Raymond, New Mexico. We lived on an Indian reservation. And then all the while, my dad got his doctorate. So
Indian reservation.
Well, so he went to University of Arizona. He went to school in New Mexico, and then we moved to Georgia, where
Was it the Hopi or the Denai Indians?
I think it was.
I spent some time on those reservations.
Navajo, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
But then we ended up at University of Georgia, where my dad got his master's, I think. And then North Carolina, he got his first job at Pfeiffer College. And then we ended up at, in Boca Raton, Florida, where he is a professor at FAU for 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so we moved around a lot.
So you guys kind of all got settled here in Boca.
Yeah, I moved here in 6th grade, which when I tell my story in Alcoholics Anonymous, I say that was really the turning point of disaster for me. Moving here in 6th grade with no money and no real like awareness of that world and that culture was super uncomfortable for me.
Wow.
So you at 6 years old, you came to Boca.
6th grade.
6th grade.
Which is like middle school, height of adolescent, like so
and
impressionable.
I came from like a tiny town in North Carolina where like my brothers and I were all in one school. I have 3 brothers. We could all run fast. So we were popular, and that was the end of the story. I came here, and my older brother went to Spanish River High School. My 2 younger brothers went to elementary school, and I was in middle school by myself.
Yourself.
And no one gave a shit that I could run fast. You know, like I didn't wear a bra. I had terrible hair. I'd never heard of like name brand. Like I was very, very, very out of pocket. And I think that was really my first experience with feeling inadequate.
It seems like you have such a heightened sense of awareness being a parent of 3 girls. I realize one of them is so aware and one is so aloof and one is so in their own world.
Yes.
Like, so you probably, like you happen to be like a acutely aware individual, and landing in that situation could have gone many ways.
For me, it didn't go great. It didn't go great. Yeah, I think I have always been acutely aware of like, I think I have a very high EQ.
Okay.
Like I'm very aware of like people's emotions and sort of very fascinated by how people tick. When I was younger, I think I used it to my advantage. I think every teacher thought I was going to be great, you know, but I knew I wasn't, you know. It was just like I could get people to invest in me emotionally pretty easily. I figured that out young. Maybe being the only girl in the family.
Right.
You know, my mom likes to joke that I would sit in this like pecan tree in Georgia in our yard, and I would basically just like boss everybody around.
From the tree.
From the tree for some reason. But so I think, yes, I did, but I was also super insecure, felt inadequate in that space. And I believe I have the predisposition for, you know, addiction genes. So you mix all that together, as they call it epigenetics, when genetics meet your environment, and it was a disaster, really.
Did your parents have addiction or?
No, but both sides of my family. So my dad's dad died of cirrhosis of the liver. His brother died of cirrhosis of the liver at 43.
Wow.
And then my mom has some of those genes on her side. So both of my parents know, and then none of my brothers. So it really just, you know.
All fell on you.
Do your brothers still live in the area?
So my brother Mesa lives in Boca. He was named after a flat plateau called a mesa in Raymond, New Mexico. My older brother Adam lives in Atlanta, and my little brother lives in Denver, Ryan.
It's so nice, though, that you guys are a close family
close.
And that they all can share in this success, especially after probably being so worried about you through certain times, like to actually see you come full circle.
Yeah, I just actually finished the chapter about them, because when I submitted the book, she said, you know, there's no chapter on here to like say where you came from. Your premise is that you don't show up empty-handed, and you talk about sobriety and all these things, but like not your childhood. So I just completed that chapter and dropped it in actually last night. So that'll be wild, because I go through my parents and then each brother. So some stories they'll enjoy, probably some they won't.
Some they probably won't even remember.
So is it more of a memoir?
interesting. When I submitted the book originally, I got no's for 2 reasons. One, you have no social platform, and B, it's confusing. Is it a parenting book or is it a memoir?
Right.
So then I broke it down into be a parenting book, and HCI bought it, but all of the edits are coming back. We need more here. We want more here. It's going to go back to the original book.
Is that frustrating when they're coming back with the edits and telling you like to change, and it's kind of...
Yes, but she's so good and you can feel it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you've ever been to therapy. I've spent years in therapy, but you know when the therapist is really good when you're like super fucking annoyed, you know, and you're like,
They're
"What?"
getting somewhere.
You know they're getting somewhere. You don't want them to get somewhere, but you can feel
Right.
it. That's what it feels like with reading all of her edits. She even wrote, I feel that you're trying to protect your son in the last chapter. And I was. So when I flew to LA recently, I had to sit down with him and say, this is what the lady's saying. I can continue to do that. It's my book. I can write what I want, right?
Right.
But if I really want to give the details and get down to the nitty gritty, I really want your permission.
Wow. What is that like, having conversations like so raw with your kids?
So rough because he's 19. It's like, is he going to say yes? And then at 25, be like, oh my gosh.
You're right.
Is it 28? Is he going to go for some great job interview and the person's going to read the book?
Or some girl's going to be like, I really love you, but...
Or some girl's parents.
Right.
You know, it's like you think of this stuff as a mom. His answer was, I'm very proud of my journey.
Aww.
I think you should write whatever you want.
Oh,
That's going to make me cry. But
I know.
Yeah.
So then you've raised a great kid.
Yeah, he is great. But, you know, getting sober no one gets sober because things are going well. So if you're going to tell that story, it's going to be intense, you know.
Wow. So like how, you know, now that you're through like the rougher parts, I guess, like the parenting journey now, how what is that layer? I know you have kids at 19 and then one much younger. And I know from your podcast,
twins, right?
Yeah.
Like he's
we have
homes
twins.
and
Yes.
you have one homeschooled, right?
Yeah. So I have 19-year-old twins, boy, girl, and then a 12-year-old son. I don't know that it ever, you know, I think it just changes forms, you know, parenting, right? I mean, I'm parenting young adults now. So that's like super fun sometimes. Like I'll catch myself with my daughter going to Pilates and I feel like I'm with my friend.
Right.
Which is so great because she was so hard to raise. So I'm like, holy shit, we've made it, you know?
Yeah.
But then there's also like, you know, more young adult like emotions and problems and you're wondering, you know, is my son going to launch? Is he going to, you know, what is this going to look like? And you sort of like analyze everything, which our parents didn't do, I don't think.
No,
I think they were like, hope it works out, you know?
And they were a more sweep it under the carpet mentality too.
And
like
they weren't
I feel like
in it as much as we are.
It was like a very like peripheral situation where we're so much more intentional.
And once you're in, you can't really not be. And then parenting my 12-year-old is kind of like, feels like I just ran a marathon and I got to the end and my knees are buckling and I'm tired and somebody says, okay, back
Here
to
it
the
is
start.
Again. So it really is like that.
It really is. And parts of it are amazing because guess what? I know what I wish I did different and now I can do that. We actually had a situation come up recently where my son, we got him an e-bike, which I regret. It was my worst parenting choice ever.
Why is that?
And because they go too fast and
they give you a heart failure.
They're dangerous. It's a little
Like
motorcycle.
Yeah.
And so we got him this. And so we ended up making friends that all have e-bikes. And these particular friends didn't have a lot of rules. You know, it was like a Thursday night. They're at my house at like 9:00. I'm like, doesn't anyone have to go home? They're like,
Well, that's...
You know, and with my older son, I was so worried about his feelings and him making friends that I didn't parent from the place of confidence. And with my 12-year-old, I was like, nope, it's not happening. I took the e-bike, I put it at our farm, and I took away the friends. And like, I never would have done that with my older son. And, you know, he was devastated, but I'm the parent. I know this isn't a good crowd.
Right.
Right. And so why wouldn't I parent? I think somehow we've gotten into this weird thing where we're afraid to parent.
Well, what do they call that? I think, gentle parenting or something like that now?
Well, we talk about it all the time. We have 3 girls, teenagers. and their friends. We want everyone to come to our
Yes.
house. We don't want our girls going to other.
Yeah, of course.
Invite all your friends you want, as many as you want, whenever you want.
Yes.
But then, and the girls do that because we'd rather have them being around
Of
us.
course.
But the friends that come and it's 11 o'clock at night, and I say to Tiffany, like, the girls are falling asleep. The friend's still here. When's the mom picking them up? Then Tiffany goes, when's your mom coming? Oh, she just texted me. Can I stay tonight? Because she can't come until tomorrow.
Yes.
I'm like, what? What kind of parent is that?
Yes.
And like so many stories like that. It's
So
so
many.
many
Well,
parents.
and that's
But I
what's
think
so
it's a lot
hard,
of it is
too.
where we live in
Yeah.
this part of South Florida.
My kids both
That are
say
so
that.
detached.
Yes. I mean, you like to think, I mean, I don't know. Kids are the same everywhere. My older kids both say this was a terrible place to grow up.
Wow.
And both
Wow.
say that they feel like they would have done better if we had moved. Originally, at one point, we were going to move to Charleston, where my
I
husband's
love
from.
it's
Charleston.
great there.
Yeah.
Both of them at 19 tell me, Mom, you should not raise Ford here. We don't really have a
Wow.
choice because we have a business here. But who knows if that's just their,
Take on it.
take on
No,
it.
I think they're pretty accurate because
I kind of do too.
I just think that it's so.
Well, it definitely creates a different set of standards and
Yes.
boundaries that aren't they're not healthy.
Yes.
So it makes like an already emotional time. Life is hard. Growing up is hard.
Mhm.
And that just adds unrealistic expectations at such formidable times.
Yes, for
And
sure.
I feel like it doesn't ever really go away. So
Yeah, I actually work with teenage girls. That's like my main thing. And, just the
When you say you work with teenage girls, in what respect? In
so
helping,
so we own an adolescent treatment
right,
facility.
which we haven't
and,
talked about.
Yeah, and when the girls I had a group, we had a facility in Boca. We actually closed it down because it wasn't a great location.
So when you
physically.
say adolescent,
like how
what does that mean?
So
what
age 13 to 17, girls that are struggling with mental health and substance use. So it's probably gotten to the point where their parents cannot
Help.
manage them
Mhm.
and they're concerned about, their drug use. And so we had a facility in Boca for a while. We closed it down, and everyone who had graduated from them, I gave them an opportunity to get on a call with me every Tuesday night. It's just a free call that I do just for these girls because we created such a bond. And what I wanted to do was to help them create a bond, almost like a sorority,
So they can
where
rely
they
on
can
each other.
have friends and peers that have been through the same thing they've been through. Because these kids are trying to stay sober, which is very hard at that age.
Is it the kids that are more, or is it the parents pushing the kids, or
To be on the call?
or just to come to the facility, or
The parents push them to come to the facility. This call, I have no idea how this has happened, but it's every Tuesday night at 6:30. It's literally my favorite thing every week. We have so much fun.
Aw.
And I have parents telling me, I can't get this kid to do anything, but she will leave a dinner to be on the
'Cause
call.
she feels good.
Yeah, I think it's not really about me. I think it's about them. It's
how they feel.
It's how they feel together,
At that time.
like talking to each other. I do have to remind them every week, guys, at the end of the day, I'm still a responsible adult. So you can't say shit on here that is going to put me in a compromising position. I don't want to know that you snuck out, for example, because that is something that I can't know, or I would have to tell your parents.
right?
Now, they will pierce their nose and not tell their parents. I don't care about that. You know what I mean? But it's because they're all mad at their mom and they're all piercing something. That's just the low-hanging fruit.
Oh my God.
But the sneaking out and the things that are truly risky,
Right.
I usually leave 15 minutes into the call. I'll get off the call. You guys talk about whatever you want because they do need someone to tell that stuff to. And the interesting thing is it's created such a great feedback loop for them. So sometimes the girls would be like, you shouldn't be doing that. Oh my gosh, that guy's such a jerk.
Right.
You should date somebody who's more, supportive. So it's super cool to watch.
So how did you start that business? Creative.
Well, we founded Guardian as a national behavioral company in 2008. When my 19-year-olds were 15, they started just to struggle. My daughter struggled with mental health and she was just hard, really hard.
Wow.
And I found that there weren't a lot of local resources.
Mm-mm.
So I told Josh we should open an adolescent component of our organization.
Mhm.
So that's how that started. We have one in New Jersey and we had one in Boca. But really you need for teenage girls, which is what it was, you really need to be like on a farm. You need to have more
They need to be
space.
pulled, like,
yeah, it's like
out of the
it wasn't like
environment.
the right location because you're going to get kids that run away.
Right.
And having my son struggling and having a few kids run away was just like, I was going to die. Like I couldn't
I know.
sleep.
How do you like be able to juggle all that? It's like
that
emotionally.
was hard. Honestly, the hardest thing for me in this adolescent space is really boundaries. You know, when I hear a 15-year-old teenager tell me that her parents do drugs, that the mom's bringing home a bunch of men, that, you know, that their electricity was turned off, that she doesn't have food. It's very hard for me not to be like, I have a guest house, you know, like
yeah, you could have them all come over.
It's
right?
so hard for me. Now, so I try and limit it to, I will drive and pick them up and take them to a meeting. You know, I will talk to their school counselor. I will go to their school and meet with their school counselor. I will talk to their parents. I will get them outside help and try and get people to do it for free.
Mm-hmm,
You know, I had one girl who's young, but she's so smart and she's such a good writer. She would show me like things she would write.
Mhm.
So I got an editor that I know to donate an hour a week free time that they would get on call, and she would, because part of it is I want them to see that there's a whole world out there. If you can just get out of your
tunnel
house,
vision.
you know, and I get them focus on school, get good enough grades that I can help you get a scholarship.
Wow.
You don't have to live in this. You know, so that's really, I think that's like my true love is just helping
people and putting
Yeah.
people together. It
Yeah.
sounds like too.
I love teenagers. I love the harder, the better. I love teenagers. I think they're the most misunderstood group on the planet. You know, I don't
there's-
want them to be my hard teenagers.
right.
Someone else.
So is that part of the reason why you started like the parenting side?
Yes,
Do
I
you
think
it's
so.
the stems from not good parenting is causing, or
No, I think it's the mom culture is super weird, you know, and like being a mom with a difficult kid, I felt so out of place. I felt
know.
so judged. And so I want to create a space where moms can just be who they are. You know, I had a difficult daughter, and then I was at mom's night out, like just feeling inadequate. Everyone was talking about math scores and, you know, and I'm like, I'm hanging on by a thread over here. You know what I mean? My
Right.
daughter's slamming doors, doesn't speak to me, and like, you know, is being not invited to anything, you know?
Right.
So it's like, I want to create a community and a space, which is why Cake for Dinner really is the name, where you just let your hair down and sometimes you have cake for dinner. You know, nobody's doing it perfect.
right?
You know, and women are done with this curated perfection shit.
I agree.
It's
that
annoying.
Pinterest, like
Nobody relates
lifestyle.
to it. It's unattainable.
It is.
And it's really stupid because the more authentic that you are, I think the more you attract, right?
And that's why your story and Cake for Dinner is resonating so strongly and, in my opinion, moving so fast because it is so needed.
Yeah, I think so. I think women are ready to tell the truth. You know, the days of pretending like you have it together, showing up to the PTA meeting in a Q outfit, and then screaming at your kids in the car. I think those days are over.
And really, at the end of the day, what is the more important part?
Right.
Being with your kid. I mean,
Right.
and I try to remind myself that too, even when we entertain and like even the holidays entertaining. I'm like, we're hosting 20 people for dinner. Our kids have to like help chop, cook. Like
Yes.
it's a 3-day process. Everybody else is out golfing at the beach and enjoying. And like we're all, you know, working to curate this, you know, experience. I'm like, at the end of the day, what's more important than us just really
Being together.
being together?
I actually wrote a story in my book about Christmas at my house growing up because my mom was the president of the PTA. She wasn't like what we're thinking of these days because we didn't have money and all that stuff, but she was just like amazing at everything she did. Homemade, very natural. But anyway, she has always hosted holidays. And she's beautiful. Her house, everything she does is beautiful. And I can remember growing up, and I wrote it in the book, on one Christmas, my brother had gotten a tongue ring, and she was furious. I mean, like she that's the maddest I've ever seen her. And anyways, for some reason she called it a tongue pin. We'll never know why, but she was screaming at him, like, get that fucking tongue pin out of your mouth. And then I remember the doorbell rang, and she opened. She's like, Merry Christmas. And we were all like,
wait, who was that?
What is that? And what I've learned as a mom is that wasn't fake, right? That was my mom being my mom, trying to put on a holiday for us, for all those people,
so right?
But as a kid, I thought, ugh, look at her being so fake,
Right.
And as a mother,
It's
how many
so
times
true.
I've told everyone to get their fucking clothes on and then hello,
Right.
It's because it's part of the job,
So
right?
real what you're saying.
It's so part of the job. And I wrote that, I haven't completely finished with the exact title, but it's something like The Myth of Perfect Motherhood, something along those lines. But it's a myth. It's a joke.
It is. And where do you think these stories that we tell ourselves, like, oh my God, look at her, she's so big. Like, where do those stories come from?
Well, you look at way back, right?
Yeah,
it's
so
just been an
even our
evolution of
generation,
motherhood. You know, if
Yeah.
you look back in the 50s and the 60s, there was just more of a perfection culture. And I think that, we've just chipped away at it. But it's a fight. I mean, it's
sure
a fight.
is.
But we're also in this era where no one's aging. So we're trying to pretend, I'm over here trying to be real about my parenting, but yet I've got to keep my skin tight.
looking
Right?
good.
It's like,
yeah, I'm on camera now, so we've got to.
Sounds familiar.
Sounds very familiar.
it's exhausting. I actually did a post yesterday. My husband said the F word didn't belong in the post. But anyway, I basically compared motherhood to being at an all-you-can-eat buffet, right? It's like, you got to do all these things. You have to, all your kids need to be smart and athletic somehow. And your skin you can't age. You've also got to be hydrated. You have to exercise. You have to be married.
Yeah.
You have to do all these things. And basically at the end, I said, fuck that. I'm going to pick a few things and forget it.
Yeah,
like it's impossible.
It is.
What we're supposed to do is just wild. And look good while you're doing it.
And look good. And like you enjoy it. And then it's all
Effortless. So basically the book is a bunch of stories that just totally blow the lid off of that. And that.
And that's resonating.
And you can do both. You can love your kids, you can love your husband, but you can also hide in the car for an extra 30 minutes on TikTok because you don't want to go inside.
Right. Two things can be true at once.
Yes.
That's what I said this morning to you and some other friends too. I'm like, it's, we don't get it all the time.
Yes. And you can be, I said to my husband recently, how can I love you so much and also you're the most annoying person I've ever met? Like, it's just.
That's marriage, right?
That's marriage. And it's the same with parenting. I love the shit out of them, but they drive me crazy. So I think being a mom is all of that wrapped into one. And there's just no way that we're going to be able to do all of that, look good, and enjoy every minute of it. So I think we should just
every bit of it.
Yeah, we should just be
Every bit.
honest about it. We love it sometimes and sometimes it's awful.
It's so true. What does whole family healing look like? Is that it? Just kind of acceptance or?
Well, I mean, I think that probably relates mostly in my world to addiction and recovery. And it's very hard for somebody to heal and to get healthy if their family isn't getting healthy. A lot of times these kids come, they learn all this stuff about themselves or an adult. And then they return home to either their wife or their family, and the family
Nobody's done
system
the work.
remains the same, right? It doesn't mean that they're terrible or anything, but you play a role in the family. And if everybody's not willing to take a look at themselves, it's very tough for the family to heal.
Very true. That's true. And how do systems change in your work and what you've, seen? Like, is it possible? Like, is it a 30-day plan? Is it a system or the steps? Or like, how do systems change? Like getting people out of a rut you know?
Well, back in the day, it was a 30-day thing. People went to treatment for 30 days. Actually, we founded the company based on that being a flawed system. We founded the company because my husband was an interventionist. So he would intervene on someone, a family member typically. They'd go to treatment for 30 days, and then the family would call him and be like, what now? And there really wasn't a what now. So we started with an aftercare program. And so the what now was us. And we were going to help you guide this person through the next year of their life. Since 2008, we've basically filled all the holes where there were sort of missing pieces in the treatment continuum.
Did you both launch the company together?
So it was his idea. A bad idea, I thought. So good thing he doesn't listen to me, really. But he became an interventionist. He was in finance, didn't really like it. We're both sober. So I think when you've fought this dragon and you get to the other side, there's just this yearning in you that you want to turn around and like help other people. So he had that idea. And then he had an idea to keep growing it, aftercare. All of the pieces have really been his.
But you were working together through the whole process.
Originally, it was just he and I, literally the two of us in a little tiny place that we rented on Federal Highway in Delray, a little office space. And we would just have people come in after treatment and kind of coach them on how to.
I mean, that's a dynamic in itself. Like with Tiffany and I working together, that's from a parenting standpoint.
It's wild.
Yes,
and also you find yourself just talking about work all the time. My son, I did this like stupid interview thing with him. He's 12. And I would say like, what's the most annoying thing I do? Or what's this? I couldn't even post it because it was literally like, I said, what's the word that I say the most that's annoying to you? And he said, Baker Act, which is what you do when someone, I was horrified like that. Like, oh my gosh. I told Josh, we have to stop talking about work. It's like crazy.
She needs to be Baker Acted.
Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy. So, I think
Does that actually even happen anymore?
Yes. Marchman Act, Baker Acts happen every day.
Wow.
Yes, because sometimes, people are treatment resistant and they're a danger to themselves or others.
Guess I haven't heard that word in like ages.
Yeah.
No, and I feel like even though that's not necessarily our space, we do talk and hear about people are definitely just so much more aware of why is there so much mental illness and why why is this so prevalent? Even in the design.
Well, it's in the news every day.
Well, that's true too.
Well, I think you see it more, right? You hear about it more because there's so much social media. We're watching clips. We're watching this. We're watching that. I think the other part is that people are more open about their struggle, right? It's less shameful. Still definitely shameful in some areas, but celebrities talk about it more, right? Like when I got sober at 27, I didn't know anybody that was sober. And my mom sent me an article from the New York Times about Ben Affleck getting sober. And I was like, oh, thank God somebody's doing it. But it wasn't popular. Now it's almost popular to get on the bandwagon of sobriety. Maybe it's based on health,
right?
So I think we hear about it more, but also there's a lot of things contributing to the decline of mental health. Social media is one, but also just the pace of life,
Yeah, I think it's a lot has to do with the decline of just the family unit and a family being.
I'm guilty of that. I feel like we eat dinner at the table maybe once a week. And that's like, my son's like, well, how much longer do I have to sit here? I grew up, we ate dinner at the table
at
7
the table,
nights.
Same thing.
Period.
Me too.
Well, we eat as a family every night, but we don't sit at the.
We got in a COVID moved to the sofa.
At least you're
in front
together.
of the TV or the new. Oh, but every night we are together as a family, and
that's wonderful.
Yeah. So I go back to like when I was a kid, how my parents taught me. I want the same kind of like always ate together, did everything together.
Yeah, I love that.
Tiffany makes sure like every weekend there's 2 or 3 things that we're doing as a family.
And the kids are on board.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They are.
Our kids are they're very much into music. They've created a band. So now they're performing. And we just came back from London where they recorded at Abbey Road Studios.
Amazing.
Original songs that they've written. So they're really focused on their music.
All 3 of them are musical.
2 of them are really one of them, she wants to be the next Taylor Swift. I mean, that's where her focus is.
Yeah.
Kind of Taylor Swift. She's got her own little version.
Yeah, but I'm just saying she wants to be a successful music artist. And she'll get in front of one person or 1,000 people and perform with her guitar and singing.
Yeah.
She has no stage fright and absolutely loves
What's
it.
interesting is that's just who she is, right?
Yes.
It's like, I always think parents think they're a great parent when they have one easy kid. And then once the second one comes along and they're
Well,
like, oh,
none of them
shit.
are.
I say that all the time,
All three of
too.
us aren't easy,
Yes.
but and I think Tiffany and I have focused on the fact that family is so important.
Yes.
And I spent my television career, I had a very big production company. I created a show in, I say 96 and 97 called Parenting and Beyond.
Oh, wow.
It ran for 12 to
Before
13
you were an
years.
actual parent.
Yeah, before I was a parent, yeah. But I saw a hole in a niche, and I did a deal with a woman by the name of, I don't know if you've heard of Cindy Williams.
I looked her up this morning.
Oh, did you? Yeah. So Cindy hosted the first show, and then I ended up hiring Kim Alexis, who was a big supermodel at the time, and then Josie Bissett. So I had all these, and they were all moms, And
well, let's get the show back.
I
I'm
agree.
ready.
Yeah, and
I mean,
I've got
that's what
someone
you're
who's
doing.
been. I just said to Tiffany yesterday, we're driving to the kids' school because they had a college simulation night. And driving there, I said, one of the people working for me just called me up saying they want to bring parenting on back. So we've had some conversations over the last few weeks for some networks called Baby on Board.
Got it.
Tiffany said to me, "That's a really old name."
They need cake for dinner.
Baby on Board is very old. Remember the signs that
Yes.
they put?
Like baby boom, baby on board. I'm like,
And
oh, no.
when you pigeonhole it into, which is why my book I think will hit, is because it's not pigeonholed into one stage of parenting, right? Because Baby on Board is young moms. That's what that says.
But I think there's a lot of parents who want to be good parents, but don't know how.
I get phone calls all day, every day.
Don't know how.
I'm sure.
If I was organized, I would have like a group and a virtual thing. I just haven't gotten there.
You're such a wealth of knowledge, though, of what you've experienced and the things you've heard, because some of us don't have that, like hear these things that when you're faced with it, you're like, wait, what do I do?
Well, I don't know how to get anyone into Harvard. That's an area that I'm
But
not.
I think you're in a direction of what you're doing and I think not very far down the road, you could be like here in South Florida holding seminars or events.
That's my goal.
I think I've been involved with a lot of different people who do that on a very big level. I think you're going in that direction.
I just
with a
have
little
to
bit of
really fine tune exactly what my message is, because most of my delivery is like, so
I think
people
you'd have
want
a lot of parents
answers
that would pay even for like a weekend or, the Boca Hotel, 1,000 parents show up and it's a day of like eye-opening information that's enlightening and, oh my God, that was a great day.
Yeah.
Like we're going to use this
Like
with our kids.
Co-parenting.
Coach-
Like a parenting workshop.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I would. These are my dreams, guys.
And
No,
they're
I
gonna
think
happen.
I
You're on
love
your way
the concept
there.
because ultimately at the core of that, you're actually helping people.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
And that's really what I want to do. I mean, I want to have a New York Times bestseller. I want to interview with Oprah. I want to have workshops. Some days I wake up and I'm like, what are you doing? You're 50. I'm going to be 52 tomorrow.
No,
like, what are you doing?
Happy birthday.
Thank you. But it's also like, if not now, when?
Correct.
Right? This is
No
it.
time
And
like
I
the
kind of wish I
present.
was 40 and starting it so I had a longer runway.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I didn't have as much experience as 40.
Right.
Right. So like the stuff I'm talking about is hard-earned wisdom.
Right.
There was no book. My master's in psychology did not help. I mean, it is from the trenches, right? So I don't think you can do it any younger.
And I think that is the best way to obtain that wisdom is living it.
Yeah. I'm going to be like full gray by the end of all this wisdom, but
So we just kind of answered my next question of what's next. You did mention dads.
yes. Yep. So I've added Cake for Dinner Dad Edition.
I love that.
I'm actually flying to LA soon to interview Spencer Pratt.
Love what he's doing.
Yeah, he's really in the, because really, if you look at all his, even the politics stuff, it really is based on being a father.
And
right?
common sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
really.
So you reached out to him
Yes.
just through social media?
So I got him through a friend of a friend. Like, I also go on social media and I will figure out who knows who, you know? Sometimes I will reach out to somebody and say, hey, I'm coming to LA to interview this person. Do you want to, you know? So now that I have Jenny Garth, I'll ask other people, do you want to interview the same day Jenny Garth's interviewing? I mean, you have to use all of your things to climb.
Oh, yeah.
Where
you
did
know.
that chutzpah come from?
That comes from being broke. That comes from the free lunch line. I believe it to my core. I actually wrote a chapter in the book called Can You Manufacture Grit? Right? Because I attribute all of my chutzpah, as you say, to really growing up with no money. I mean, if you want, my dad would also always tell us, the world owes you nothing. If you want something, you go make it happen. So, I mean, I feel like that's where it came from. So how are my kids now going to be raised with resources, with nice cars, a nice home?
Yep.
You know, they're snowflakes.
They don't know,
you know?
right? They don't know the grit.
They don't have, you know, my daughter, interestingly, does have it. And it came from a total struggle with OCD and mental health and having to navigate that in the face of like social pressure. So not a fun way to get it. But I don't know that you get grit fun.
No, and I try to like say that too in my own resonance with my kids. Like the hard times grow you. So the sooner you get growing, you know, and stomach these uncomfortable conversations and, you know, make these uncomfortable decisions that are, you know, that you're kind of hiding behind, comes the growth. And the sooner you get to it, the more you can enjoy the successful
Which is
parts
interesting
along
because
the way.
we as parents know that, yet we still try and, you know, sugarcoat and like rescue our kids. It's like it goes against everything in you, right? It's like I want to say, you know, I let my kids experience failure. I let them experience adversity and look how much they've grown. The truth is I got in the way of that almost every turn, right? And so like you're robbing them of the opportunity they need to grow. Yes. And you literally know you're doing it and you can't get a hold of yourself. Yes. You know, it's like my son will call me, he's upset because of this, that. My first reaction is how can I
help
fix that, manage that? Well, our parents didn't do that. And I think our kids would be better served having some struggles and failures. But I mean, I'm the first to tell you that I did not get that part right. So my poor 12-year-old, I mean, this kid is like,
I bet he's
having a very different experience.
Well, Keesha, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
I enjoyed this conversation so much. And tell our listeners, audience, where they can find you and hear more of all the.
So, what's your website, your social,
your
going on? Instagram?
So, my Instagram is at Keesha W. Scott. So, it's KeeshaW. Scott. My website is www.keeshascott.com. And that's pretty much the easiest place to find me.
And the book coming out?
And the book will come out basically 11 months from now.
Okay.
So 2027,
what
look for
Cake for
Dinner.
That's going to be.
Yes.
Congratulations.
And I'm going to be having Cake for Dinner pop-ups along the way. So for the next 10 months, I'm going to have pop-ups, you know, to really hope to unite the community of women and moms around this like concept of really being yourself and being authentic.
And the podcast Cake for Dinner, you can find pretty much
everywhere that you'd find a
platforms.
Podcast. Yeah, very active on YouTube, Apple, Spotify.
We appreciate you coming and spending the morning with us today.
Thank you so much. This is a great conversation.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.
iDesign Labs podcast is an SW Group production in association with the 5-Star and TW Interiors. To learn more about iDesign Lab or TW Interiors, please visit twinteriors.com.